And we are live. Ready for action. Time for your checkup. Time for your checkup. Gonna check your ears, check your eyes, find out how much you've grown. Time for your checkup. Listen to your heartbeat. I forgot the words. Okay, guys. That is a song from Doc McStuffins. Hope you liked it. This might pause for a second. I'm about to turn my phone on Do Not Disturb. That was not trying to be like a flex, but I just remembered I could do it from my watch. Turn it on Do Not Disturb, and then... Do I need to do anything else, babe? Do I need to put it on airplane mode? No. Just Do Not Disturb? Oh. Yeah. Okay, guys, welcome to Saturday afternoon, evening. We're going to be talking about dating, waiting, and relationships. There is an official way to submit your questions. Let me know if it sounds muffled at all. The way I have my phone sitting, I feel like it could sound a little muffled. I'm not in the studio tonight because it is like 80 degrees and we're very frugal. So we just turned on the AC. We don't like to use the AC if we don't have to. We just turned it on because we were just like, this is just too hot. And I go by that Southern lifestyle where if it's too hot, you're wearing too many clothes, or if it's too cold, you're not wearing enough clothes. So we just turned on the AC and it's just too hot in the studio. I just can't go up there. What am I trying to say? So go ahead and submit your questions in the box. We're going to talk about it. Okay, great. Sound is working. Here's my disclaimer. I won't be giving this disclaimer all night, possibly a few more times. But if you have anybody in the room under 13 years old right now, put your headphones on. Yeah, that counts as you, Bug. That's taking you to the other room. You can't listen to this. You're too little. But mommy's going to play with you after, okay? I love you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I love you. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so yeah, if you have anybody 13 or under, please do what I just did and ask a parent or someone else to take them to another room because we're going to talk about dating and relationships in a way that is not appropriate for kids to be listening to. If you are in elementary or middle school and you want to date and you want to have a romantic relationship, I would encourage you to not do that. I would encourage you to work on your gymnastics and your science and your football and your soccer and your math and your English homework and not worry about dating. But if you really need to talk about it and you're curious about things, then please feel free to ask me. And just know that I'm a grown-up and we're going to be talking about some grown-up stuff. Someone said, if you're 13, is it okay? I mean, I say that because for the general population, PG-13 movies, that's just the general age. But if you have a 13-year-old that you don't think needs to be listening to this, then don't let them listen. Okay, let's jump right into it, guys. Let's answer some questions. I've got some stuff prepared to talk about in case all the questions are, what's your favorite color? Because we're not going to do favorite colors tonight. It's pink though. Okay, so, oh man, you guys are coming in hot with some good questions. Oh man. Okay, let's see. Wow. So we're talking about dating and relationships for those of you guys that are still submitting questions. So I just want to make sure that you guys get the topic, what we're rolling with. Someone said, this is not relevant to what we're talking about. Have you tried Korean dramas? Yes, for like 10 years. I've been listening to Korean pop, watching K-dramas. Hold was in a Korean drama. It was called Boys Before Flowers about 10 years ago, and that is one of the coolest things in the world. Okay, here we go. Let's answer this question. Can you wait it out if you've already had it before marriage? So, my husband's face said yes, and that is the answer, yes. So again, if you are listening to, and I really appreciate the mom that says I have a 12-year-old that would rather her hear it from a good source than from school friends. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you've got a middle schooler that you want to hear this stuff, great. Just note that the words I'm about to say are not appropriate for children. This is your 3-second warning. 2, 1, here we go. If we're talking about sex and we're talking about can you start waiting to have sex if you've already lost your virginity 1 time, 2 times, 500 times, when we're talking about God and we are talking about God's grace that he has in our lives, God does not look at any person and say, well, you've done this or you've done that, so it's too late for you. Do you see what I mean? God's grace and mercy covers all of that stuff. And so if you had sex a few years ago, or if you had sex a few weeks ago, if you had sex this morning and you're like, you know what, I'm not married, I want to start waiting to save sex for my marriage, then you can do that. And God's grace covers that. There's nothing that you can do. There's nothing that you have done that's not covered by God's grace. My husband and I, we love to share our story. We love to share our testimonies. I was what I called a super virgin when I got married, because there was just a lot of stuff that I was like, what? And my husband was not. He was celibate. He had been, abstaining from sex for a few years. And we are, neither myself or my husband, we are no more or less valuable to God because of our past and because of what we have or haven't done in the past. If you have been sexually active before marriage, I definitely think that can make some parts of marriage or future dating and relationships, it can make it challenging. If anybody says that it doesn't, then I would encourage you to start your own live stream and talk about other stuff. But that's what I believe in. That is what I also know to be true, is that when you have sex with someone, that's not just a physical experience, it's emotional. There's so much connected to it. That's why it's so great, because it's not just physical. And having that with someone, and even multiple people, and then trying to then forget about it and leave it alone and not compare and not be tempted and not have those thoughts and not have those feelings, even it can be difficult. So yeah, I totally encourage waiting. But I also want you to know that if that's not something that you've done in the past, it's not too late to start waiting. Doesn't matter what your yesterday looked like. Also, congratulations to the person that said they're getting married tomorrow. That's awesome. Marriage is amazing. Okay, let's see. Some more questions. I don't know why I thought I said to myself, what's your view on Toy Story 4? I was like, what? Okay, let's see. So, I don't know if that was a... What? What? These are you guys have very interesting questions. Let's see. Okay. A lot of these are ones that we went through last week. I would love to know, if you guys can you leave a thumbs up if you were here last week when we did this chat? We do this chat every Saturday at 5 o'clock Pacific time. So 8 o'clock Eastern. Can you leave a thumbs up if you were here last week, and a thumbs down if you were not here last week, which is okay. It's okay if you were not here last week. I just want to know, because I'm getting a lot of the same questions. Someone said in the comments, a lot of returning people. That's awesome. Someone said in the comments, what age is too old to date? I don't really know what you mean by that. I don't think that if you mean like, I haven't dated anyone and I'm 40, is it too late for me? Like, no, like if you go on your first date at 40 or 50 or 60, or you were single for a while, or you were dating, whatever it is, like, no. But if you mean like, what age is too old for you to date someone? Like if you're 20 and he's like 90, that's a whole live stream for another day. So if you want to clarify that, I can hopefully answer it. Okay, cool. So we do have a lot of people that are here for the first time. And so I want to make sure that we might touch on some of the same stuff from last week, but I'm going to try my hardest to like recap it in a way that doesn't like sound too redundant. Also, I recorded the live stream from last week. It worked. It was awesome. Like in the context of like technology was awesome. But when I put it into my editor, which we have to do a few edits to it because I had some like text messages come in while we were recording, it doesn't, what am I trying to say? It doesn't have audio. So we're working on that. We have it. It works. It'll be up eventually. Also, someone said, can I write a book? I have one. If you go to my website, jamiegrace.com, you can find all of this stuff. Like I have a book called Wait It Out and a book called Boys, 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 both about dating and relationship. Okay, let's talk about this right here. I'm 18 and I've never had a boyfriend. How do I not feel like there's something wrong with me? Here's the thing. When I was 18, I had never had a boyfriend. I think I went on my first date. I think I was 19. I think I was 19. I can't remember exactly how old I was. And it can start to feel like you're alone, and like you can feel pretty left out if everybody else is dating, because there's somebody else in here that was saying like they're a virgin and they're proud, and that's awesome. But there are definitely times, and this was difficult for me, there were times in my early 20s when I was single where I still felt like something was wrong with me. Even if that moment only lasted for 5 minutes, I would have this thought of like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And no matter how old you are, I know it's like sometimes people who are like older than us would be like, oh, well, I didn't meet my husband till I was this age, so you're fine. But it doesn't take away from the fact that if you were 18 and you've never had a boyfriend, all your friends are dating, it can cause you to feel alone. It can cause you to feel left out. And so the first thing that I would tell you to do is to take notice as to why you're not dating anyone. You see what I mean? If they're so loud. Bella, she's funny. If the reason why you're not dating anyone is because you want to date someone with the intention of a long-term relationship that leads to marriage, and you just not met that person yet, then that's awesome. Like, don't beat yourself up for knowing what your intention is, and then sticking to it, right? But if your intention, like, for not having dated is because, like, you really want to date, but you haven't met anybody yet, like, it's possible that it's just not that season yet. It's just not that time yet. And so what I would encourage you to do is just keep working on you and spend some time around some other incredible single people. Get to know people as friends, make good friends, make good community. I know that's kind of hard right now during quarantine. But yeah, I know it's hard, but there isn't anything wrong with you. And you're going to be okay. Trust me. Somebody said, yeah, especially if you have friends getting married, you start looking around like, what? Where's mine at? I've been there. I totally get that. And it can be so discouraging and so frustrating to feel like you're alone. But just know that in the very cliche that a lot of married people say, I know this is annoying to hear, just know that it is worth the wait. It is worth waiting for. And you don't have to make yourself feel like any less of a person or like you're not that great because you haven't dated anyone yet. Like, it's going to be okay. Hi, Bella. Hi, baby. Okay, let's see. Okay, wow. You guys are asking some very intense questions. Okay, cool. Wow. Okay. I really wish that these were organized by date or like by the time you guys submit them, because a lot of you guys are just asking like, what's your TikTok? What's your favorite Disney movie? It's like not crazy relevant. I want to answer that one, but I can't. Yeah, okay. Man, this is a really good question. I really want to answer this. Do you have Black people that mentor you and your husband? Do you think it's necessary to have Black people mentoring you? So, wow, yes, this is really good. I will say yes and not necessarily. So the first one, do I have Black people that mentor me, my husband? Yeah, my mentor for the last few years, she's Black. Aaron's mentor is not Black. But do we also have other couples in our lives that are Black? Yeah. Here's the thing. When you are allowing people into your life, into your personal space to mentor you like spiritually, and when you might have things that you need to talk about as far as your marriage goes, that could include sex, that could include dating, that could include early parenthood, whatever it might be. When you have those people in your life, it's important first and foremost that you guys have the same foundation spiritually. So I would say regardless if they're Black, white, yellow, or purple, they need to have the same foundation spiritually. They need to be followers of Christ. With that being said, I do think that it's important that you have people in your life that you can talk to about the things that are more complex and that are more overwhelming. So yeah, and someone said it should not necessarily be about their race. I would say yes and no, because there are things that Aaron and I oftentimes face. Just, we live in a pretty mixed area, but predominantly white area. And there are times where we really do need to talk to a Black couple or a Black person about certain things that we might be going through in our marriage. And there are things in Black culture that apply to our marriage that that may not be applicable if we were taught to white culture. And I think people get uncomfortable with this kind of stuff, but if we as Christians don't talk about this kind of stuff, then we're doing ourselves a disservice as Christians. If we can't be honest with each other that we are all different and that we all bring something different and beautiful to the table, then we are failing our Christian relationships. If you are in an interracial dating relationship and you think that you don't see color, there are going to be elements of that relationship that will not succeed and that will not thrive. I'm not saying the relationship won't thrive, but there will be elements of that relationship that won't be able to thrive by the mere fact that you are avoiding a part of that person's identity. Because I know that a lot of people want to say that race isn't a part of your identity, it's not a part of who you are, and it is, in a good way. You should be proud of who you are and proud of what makes you you and what makes you stand out. And if we don't have those conversations in the church, if we don't have those conversations in relation to intimacy, then we're not going to thrive. When Aaron and I, there are just certain conversations that are going to be really important. So I know it makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable, it makes a lot of people feel awkward, but I am proud that I'm Black. I love being a Black woman, and there are times where my culture as a Black woman is applicable to my marriage. There are times where things in Black culture are relative to my marriage. My sister's in an interracial relationship. There are times where there are elements of my brother-in-law, his as being a white person, that's applicable to marriage and relationships. And it's not wrong. It's not awkward. It's just people are different. And the more we can embrace that, the healthier our relationships can be. So yeah, that's what I think about that. Okay, let's see. Let's get to some more. That one was a little bit broader, but it's still relevant to dating and relationships. So if anybody's got any more questions on dating and relationships, I definitely want to answer them. This question thing, I'm not trying to dish you, Instagram, but it is confusing. You have to scroll for years. Because now I'm at the very top and it's asking me what's my favorite song from La La Land. I don't have a favorite song from La La Land. I don't remember them. No offense, guys. I don't remember who was in it. Okay. So we talked about this. Someone said, I thought your brother-in-law was Hawaiian. He doesn't look white. Yes, he is what you call mixed race. I didn't want to just put all his business out there, but a lot of people are more than one race. Okay, what's the best age to start dating? So I talked about this a little bit last week, so I'm going to try to give a brief synopsis of this. I usually share this in a way that I would share with my own child, and then I share this answer in a way that I would share with people that I don't know. So the way that I would share with my own child is by saying that, look, you're a minor, you don't pay bills in this house, so I don't understand why it makes sense for you to be romantically involved with someone. That doesn't make sense. In this family, we date with intention. We date in a way that, not that says, my first date is going to be the person that I marry, because that is an unhealthy mindset to walk into a date with. But with that being said, we do date with the intention of, I'm not going to spend my time, with someone that I would not be spending a lot of my time with. I'm not going to waste my time just because. So when you are in middle school or high school, that typically is not relevant to you. If you live in my house and you're in middle school, you need to be focusing on middle school. If you live in my house and you're in high school, you more than likely need to be focusing on high school. If you're, coming up on becoming an adult and you have some intentions and things like that set in place, that is a little bit different. So I don't support dating the first person you think is cute in 10th or 11th grade. I don't think that that's healthy. I think that high school, middle school, young adulthood, and life in general, it's about self-control. And if you are 14, 15, 16 years old and you can learn to see someone that is attractive, that makes you laugh, and that also loves Jesus and can play an instrument and has followers on TikTok, if you can see that person and you can say, I have the self-control to not lust. I have the self-control to not imagine if we had kids together. I have the self-control to not put their last name with mine. I have the self-control to see this person as a friend and not assume that they are a romantic partner or romantic interest. I think that you are building very much needed and necessary self-control at a very young age. I like to say that if you don't build that self-control at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, you are setting your life up for failure. If just because you are in high school and you feel some type of way below the belt and you think, oh, I have these feelings, I must act on them, you haven't built self-control. So now when you're 20 or 30 or 40 and you're married and you and your husband are now not having a good day, you're stressed out, you guys are having a disagreement, whatever it is, then you pull out your phone and an advertisement for Tinder pops up and you think, let me just see what else is out there. Or you pull out your phone and you've got some DM on Instagram from some guy that's more attractive than your husband or whatever it is, or more attractive than your wife, and you think, well, let me just follow them, or let me just swipe. Let me just see what I can find. Or it's 2:00 in the morning and your husband is on a work trip, or your husband made you mad and you're awake in the middle of the night and you're flipping through the channels up in the thousands where you don't need to be. If you haven't learned how to develop that self-control at an early age, it's going to be harder. It's not impossible, but it's going to be harder to develop that self-control at a later age. Now, that's not the only reason why I discourage dating as a child. I also think that doing adult things as a child doesn't make any sense. I mean, to join the military, you have to be a certain age. To buy half the stuff in a grocery store or a pharmacy, you have to be a certain age. So I don't understand why when it comes to our hearts and our body parts, we think it's okay to just jump for it because you want to, because you've got some feelings. But I think that developing self-control is a really good idea in general. And I'm glad that I did not date in elementary school, didn't know it was an option. I'm glad that I didn't date in middle school. I'm glad I didn't date in high school. I'm glad that I did not date until I was an adult that could drive my own self, because just because it's a date doesn't mean you have to ride in the car with them. I mean, yes, don't get me wrong. I'm all about the old-fashioned ring the doorbell, shake my father's hand. I've been on those dates before as well. But I'm glad that I didn't start dating or going on dates until I was an adult. It gave me the ability to develop self-control, because temptation is there for all of us. It's not going to just go away because, oh, you got in a Christian marriage, or, oh, because you go to church all the time, or you went on a missions trip. Temptation doesn't just stop. A lot of times people think like, oh, my high schooler is being tempted. Let me send them off to work at the farm. Let me send them off on a missions trip. Let me put them in this really good youth group, or pay all this money to go to a conference. That could be helpful. Awesome. But bro, temptation can literally show up anywhere. And so developing self-control, developing the ability to refrain is very much needed. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on that. I know we kind of touched on that last week as well. So I hope that I know I tried to say a few little different things, but honestly, it's just something that means a lot to me. Okay, let's see. So this is a pretty common question, and it's a very complicated one. I have a podcast episode I think it's called How I Knew My Husband Was the One. It's the Jamie Grace podcast, and y'all's comments are so sweet. Thank y'all for egging me on. I know that it's a very casual phrase to say, like, preach just when you get excited, but as a preacher's kid, it means a lot when people say that to me. So thank you. Y'all, Bella is on the turn up. Okay, so how do you know when you've met the right person for you? Here's the thing, you guys. I don't think that life is, this is such a complex question. I don't think that my introduction to this answer is that my husband is my favorite person. And if you guys showed me, like, someone said, I think you're taking too long to answer a single question. They actually have this new option on Instagram where you can start your own live instead of critiquing mine, because it sounds like you are amazing at it. Okay, so how do you know if you've met the right person for you? So here's the thing. If someone told me tomorrow, today, whenever, if someone told me that I had to not be married to Aaron anymore, that sounds terrible. And if they were like, but look, here's this other Christian man, tall, dark, and handsome, and he, has all the same hobbies, has all the same stuff. His name even starts with an A. If they told me all this stuff, and they were like, it'll be fine, you'll have a new husband, you'll still get to keep Bella, whatever, I would slap him in the face, right? I'm not a violent person, but I would be so furious because I love my husband so much. There is no way in the world I could ever imagine being married to anybody else but Aaron Collins. I love him so much. So that is my intro to this question, right? Because here's the thing. How do you know when you've met the right person? If I were to say that Aaron is the one, right? If I were to say that Aaron is the right guy, if I were to say that Aaron is the guy, then that would borderline say that I think that he is above or better than any other person's husband. You know what I mean? And you guys are like, I want to make sure that you fully hear everything that I'm saying. That's why it takes so long to answer, sir. I'm so urban. I don't believe that there is such thing as the one. I don't believe that there is one qualified, incredible husband out there. I don't believe that there is one qualified, incredible wife out there. I believe that it's all about a dude and a gal choosing to say, every morning I die to myself and I serve God first. And then they say, I choose to be the person that God has called me to be. And then they say, I choose to serve my husband or my wife in the way that God has called me to serve. And then from there, it's I choose to go through with my job. I choose to take care of my children. Notice I said spouse before children, but that's another topic. That is what I believe it takes to make a marriage work. If I wake up every single morning and I say, God, use me however you would have for me to be used this morning. And then if my second thought, and don't get me wrong, I'm so human and I'm so flawed and this does not happen every morning. That's why you have disagreements and frustrations and confusion and apologies. But if I wake up every morning and I say, God, use me how you want me to be used. And then the next thing that I say is, God, just I'm available to you, Lord. And then the next thing that I say is, God, help me to serve Aaron. Whatever he needs today, God, I just want to love on him. I want to make him laugh. I want to just encourage him. I want to support him. God is going to be able to do so many amazing things with or without me, but because I've made myself a vessel to not only serve God, to not only be who God has created me to be, but to now serve my husband. And to Aaron's credit, when Aaron, and notice I don't say if because I feel like Aaron does this most mornings, he's a great human. If Aaron is to wake up and say, God, I want to serve you, I want to be who you've called me to be, and I want to serve my wife, then what's happening? Yes, God, we are being able to love God the way that we are born and created to love God. We are both walking out and living in our purpose. And I am doing what Aaron might need for that day, and Aaron is doing what I might need for that day. So when people ask me, how did you know that your husband is the one? Or how do you know that your person is the right person? It's not about that, but it's about making sure that your foundations are aligned with each other. And it's about making sure that both of you guys have the same goals and values and intentions for every day of your life. You can really shorten it by saying love God, love people. But if you've got a man and a wife in the same home and they wake up to love God and love each other, then both of their needs are going to be fulfilled no matter what. Now, with that being said, I do think it's important to have shared hobbies with that person. You know, if those are both your intentions, but one person says, well, I want to live in Asia for the next 15 years and I'm going to be a doctor there. And the other person says, well, I want to be a missionary in Florida for the next 15 years. I would say that it's possible that that might be very difficult to move toward a marriage relationship. You see what I mean? So you want to have similar hobbies. You want to have similar interests. You want to have something that if there was nothing else in the room, you guys could have a good time together. And yes, you would also probably want to be attracted to them and have a connection with them. So for example, Aaron and I, we both have that same goal of waking up every morning saying, I want to serve the Lord, I want to serve my purpose on this earth, and I want to serve my spouse in a way that I can, any way that I can. But we also both love to play Mario Kart. We also both love to cook. We also both have a deep connection with Chick-fil-A. Even though I believe that Taco Bell is better than Chick-fil-A, we both at least have somewhat of a concept that Chick-fil-A is great. And we are both physically attracted to each other. We are both sexually attracted to each other. So we have a lot of the same goals as far as the amount of kids that we want to have. So yes, there are things that come into play, but when you start out talking about that foundation, when that is important to you, that foundation, you're building on that, I want to love God and I want to serve my spouse, then all that other stuff falls into play. And that stuff can only be found out by having good conversation on a date. I mean, if you do not disfame Chick-fil-A in such ways, if you go on a first date or if you're like on a fourth or fifth date and you guys are and you're like, so like, let's talk about your dreams and your goals. And they're like, no, I don't want to talk about that. Like, I just want to talk about like TV, movies. You know, if you're already not able to have like by a couple dates and not able to have those deep conversations, I mean, they don't have to be theological. You don't have to talk apologetics. But if you're not having those conversations that actually talk about where you guys are going, where you guys are headed, and morals and values and stuff like that, then start. Have those conversations because they are very, very much needed. Okay, guys, we're going to do a couple more questions. That was like literally one of the most popular questions was, how do you know that they're the one? How do you know it's the person? You can only find this stuff out. You can only find this stuff out if you date, if you go on dates, if you talk on FaceTime, #quarantine. So yeah, someone said, what's your advice to a guy who is staying committed to the hope that he might end up with a lady friend who isn't sure about her feelings for him? Here's the thing. Sorry. Okay. If you have feelings for someone and your friend, whoever it is, and you've already told them that if you haven't told them that you have feelings for them and you're waiting around, that's just, you got it. Come on, bro. You got to tell her. If you have feelings for someone and you've already let them know, look, I have a crush. I've been crushing for a week. Or look, I have feelings for you. I'd like to go on a date, whatever it is. If you have already let this person know that you have feelings for them and they have not, they said that they don't know how they feel. Chances are they do know how they feel and they just don't want to tell you, I don't mean that to hurt your feelings. I'm just trying to let you know what's up. But if they have let you know they don't know how you feel or they don't feel the same way, you have multiple options. But I would say two of your main options are, one, to sit around just hoping they change or hope they figure it out, or just, just sit in the room just hoping they change their mind, or to pray and just ask the Lord, like, look, Lord, I need you to just help me just get over this. I need you to help me move past this. Not in a way of saying, oh, they're worth getting over. They're not a great person. They're terrible. I don't like them anymore, blah, blah, blah. But it's in a way of saying, I'm not going to sit around and devalue myself in this way. A lot of times when we talk about worth and value, especially in context of dating and relationships, we always make it applicable to women. We always talk to women like, don't let that man devalue you. Don't let that man tell you what you're worth. Okay, girls. And that's amazing. That is a message we should preach from the mountaintops. I do it all the times. But this is applicable to men as well. Dudes, if you are interested in a girl and she doesn't like you back, you are worth more than sitting around waiting and hoping that she is going to change her mind. Now, here's the thing. You might have one of those stories where she does change her mind, and you write a book and you go on tour, and your book is called Jamie Grace Was Wrong. She was in love with me. Also, don't call your book that, because you're worth more than doing that. That might be your story, which is amazing and it's incredible. And I know I might sound very sarcastic and silly. I'm not trying to sound sarcastic. I met my husband in an autograph line, so I totally understand that crazy things happen in dating and relationships. I sound sarcastic in my tone, but I genuinely don't mean it. What I am saying, though, is that regardless if you're going to have the big crazy turnaround story or not, you are worth so much more than what she does or doesn't think about you. Your value is not found in if she changes her mind or not. So if she has already let you know, look, I'm not interested. Look, I don't want to go down that path. Or look, I'm not sure. And you're over here scrolling through her Instagram wondering why she's liking photos of other guys and commenting under photos and stuff. Chances are she has moved on, but whether she has or not, you've got to move on. Life is not about, someone says, was he in line for your autograph? Yes, he was. No. So life is not about who you're going to date and who you're going to marry. That's not what life is about. But with that being said, So with that being said, don't allow your life to be about who you're going to date and who you're going to marry. Don't sit around thinking, what if they change their mind? Yeah, okay, what if they do change their mind? You are still going to live the life that you've been called to live no matter what. So go out and live it. The end. That's what you got to do. Okay, is it bad to like someone that your parents don't want you talking to? Ooh, so, excuse me. There are variables to this question. If anybody would like to if anybody would like to ask other questions about this, go ahead and leave them in the comments about parents and dating, because I think that's a really good one. We might have to do a whole episode just about parents and dating. So is it bad to like someone that your parents don't want you talking to? I mean, if you are a minor, if you are living in their house, my general consensus is to abide by their rules. If their rules, consist of taking all the groceries out of the fridge and throwing them into the swimming pool at your local YMCA, maybe don't follow your parents' rules, because they sound cray. But if it's the general consensus of your parents are just saying, look, we don't like this person, or we're just not interested in you dating right now, if you're like 15, 16, 17, then my general consensus would be, I don't even know if I'm using consensus right. It's just a great word. The general thing would be listen to your parents. That is a general thing. Now we're going to talk about adulthood. This is talking adulthood. This is talking you're in college. This is talking you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s. This is talking you moved out, but you're staying with them for a few months. Whatever it might be, this is just talking about, like, you're a grown up, you're interested in someone. What are you supposed to do? And so, yeah, someone said, thank you for saying this, Savannah Page. She said, I have a friend, her boyfriend is really bad, her parents disapprove, but she won't listen to anybody's advice and break up with him. Let me touch on that really quick. There are times in life where someone might be interested in someone or dating someone that is not good for them, that might be taking them down a path that's not okay. And I just want to encourage you, if your parents are stepping in, if your friends are stepping in, if people that love you are stepping in and saying, this is not okay, I don't support this. Sorry, I got really distracted, but I'm back. If someone is, not good for you in that context, if there's abuse going on or something like that, I definitely want to encourage you to get out of that relationship. And I know that it can be really hard to get out of that relationship. And that's not a level of expertise that I have, but that is what I will say about that. With that being said, there may be times where parents get it wrong. And I don't say that at all for some 15-year-old watching this to screen record this and send it to your parents and say, well, Jamie Grace said you got it wrong, because you're using my words out of context. But there are times where parents get it wrong. There are times where a young couple in their 20s wants to get married, and they might be of mixed race. And the parents are like, well, we don't think that's a good idea to mix those cultures, and we don't think that's a good idea. And that is a time where parents get it wrong. There may be a time where your parents don't want you moving to another state after marriage. They might be like, well, we need you close. The family's always been at this church. The family's always had this job. The family's always done this. And I think that that could be a time that parents get it wrong. I'm not positive. Like I said, there are many variables to this. There's also another one, and I've gotten this question a lot, about when you are too young to get married, or if you're too young to get married. I get so many, and I'm going to try to find one to put up on the screen. I get so many questions. Here we go. I get so many questions from young adults, keyword adults. We're talking over 18. We're talking legal adults. I get so many questions from legal adults who want to get married, who desire marriage, whose parents have told them that they're either too young to get married, or whose parents have told them that they need to finish college before they get married, whose parents have told them they're not mature enough to get married, whose parents have told them they need to have this job, this degree, all this stuff before they get married. Every scenario and every situation is different, but I will say this. And all the parents unfollow Jamie Grace. You're going to need to check your, some people are saying, what's the question? It's on the screen. Do you think 18 is too young to get married? But I know sometimes I get a little sidetracked, so yeah. I don't personally think that 18 is a blanket age for getting married, if that makes sense. Like, oh, you're 18, it's time to get married. I think that's pretty young. But does that mean that just because you're 18 or 19 or 20 or 21, that you have no concept of what God has for your life? No. I know I did not get married at 18. I got married at 20-something. My sister got engaged at 19. So I'm going to use her story as an example. And there were so many people that were like, 19 is too young to get engaged. 20 is too young to get engaged. You know, Aaron and I are parents. He's 25. People are like, oh, 25 is so young to be a dad. People will always sit around and talk about, oh, you're too young for this. You know, it doesn't make sense. And again, if you're in middle or high school, this is not applicable. We're talking about grown-up stuff here. But what I will say is that this is one of the many reasons why it's so important. It's so important that we all have local mentorship and leadership in our lives. It's so important that we have those people in our lives that will not just answer questions because of, oh, you're supposed to do this, or oh, you're supposed to do that, but that will answer questions from a biblical way. And I know that a lot of people might be very shocked to hear Jamie Grace say this, because I just told you that I don't think that when you turn 18, you should just go get married. I don't think that it's like, oh, we're 18, might as well get married now. No, that doesn't make any sense. But what I will say is that it is foolish to think that God cannot move in someone's life because of their age. It is foolish. Now, if you're 18 and you want to get married, and I'm seeing some certain comments, so let me clarify. If you're under 13, go away and watch Disney Plus. Get a free trial if you're on Verizon. If you want to get married because you want to have sex, don't get married right now. That does not make sense. I mean, like, yes, that is a part of marriage. That's super awesome, but it is not the marriage. It is the reason for marriage. It is not the point of marriage. If you want to get married because you're tired of living in your parents' house and you're tired of them telling you what to do, don't get married right now. This is the time to save up your money and get an apartment. If you want to get married because you want to prove that you're a grown-up, this is not the time to get married. It doesn't make sense. If that's where this question is coming from, if you're 18, 19, and you're like, oh, I just want to get married because I like this guy and I want to get married. That doesn't make any sense. But if we look back at our grandparents and stuff like that, like my grandparents were like 19 when they got married. My parents were 22 when they got married. My sister was 20, barely 20 when she got married. There's someone in the comments that she was 19 when she's got married, celebrating 11 years. So I'm not going to tell you, I know it sounds like I'm beating around the bush, but the reason it sounds like I'm beating around the bush is because I'm not about to tell you like what is the age to get married or to not get married. I'm going to tell you to do what God has called you to do with strong, godly counsel in your life. If my daughter comes to me at 18 or 19 and she's like, Mom, like, I want to get married. I'm in love. This is the guy. And Aaron and I love that guy, and we believe that's what God has called him to do. We're going to support that, and we're going to encourage that. But if my daughter comes to me and she's like, look, Mom, I've been feeling some type of way below the belt. I can't fight temptation no more. I got to get naked and do it. Better get married since I'm a Christian. I'm going to work with her about self-control and like other things besides being like, just jump right into it. So again, I know that it can sound like I kind of beat around the bush with that question, but to sum it all up, there is no blanket answer. There is no yes or no to that because it's a massive question. It's just like, bruh, like, you got to do what God has called you to do. You got to live the life that God has called you to live. And it breaks my heart. I wish you guys could see how many DMs I get from people saying, I want to get married, but my parents said, finish college first. You show me the scripture where it says, finish college, then you get married. Show me the scripture where it says, make this amount of money, then get married. Show me the scripture where it says your credit score must be here before you can get married. Show me that in scripture, and then we can talk. Okay, let me hush on that before I get in trouble. Most of the time when I say let me hush before I get in trouble, it really just means like I know it's going to take a lot of emotional energy for me to do a whole sermon, so just like shutting myself up so I have energy for my family after this. Let's see. Also, the guy who likes me. Okay, I don't understand that question. Is it okay to date someone who's 4 years younger? Well, my husband did, so it's me. How much older am I? 3 years, 4 years? I don't know. What age is too young kiss? Okay. All of the ages. Let's see. Here's the story. How do I tell my parents I got asked out and am dating? I would suggest chatting with them before the actual dating part. But if you're already dating someone and it's a secret and you're trying to figure out how can you tell them, you just got to tell them, like right after this, or close this right now and go tell them. Chances are you guys are all in the same house, #quarantine. So, it's super awkward to tell parents stuff, especially when it's stuff that they probably need to know, that they do need to know. It's definitely hard, but you got to do it. The only way to make it worse is to keep the secret. So like if you wait another 5 minutes, it's gonna make it even more awkward. Wait another 10, gonna make it even more awkward. Wait another week, gonna make it more awkward. You know what I mean? So the way to make it the easiest is to tell them as soon as you possibly can. How do you overcome rejection and heartbreak? I would say just go get a new boyfriend. I'm just kidding. How do you overcome rejection and heartbreak? This is the first thing that I would say. Embrace that life is hard. I think a lot of times when people want to figure out how to get over someone or how to get through a breakup or even liking someone that doesn't like you back, whatever it might be, I oftentimes think that the default thought is like, okay, I got to get better. I got to feel better. I got to cheer myself up. Dude, I'm not telling you to just go turn on some sad music and just lay out in the street. I know someone that did that, and it wasn't a good idea because that's, dangerous? But embrace that it's difficult. embrace that it's challenging. Embrace the fact that, like, not embrace like this is hard, but like sit in it for a little while. And you don't have to sit in it alone. Call a friend, tell a friend, talk to your parents, tell someone, say, this is really challenging for me. I remember the first time that a guy like really made me upset. I was 21 or something like that. It was just weird. I don't even fully remember all that happened because y'all, you see what just happened? I don't even remember fully what happened because time changes things. I was leaving my parents' house for the weekend, going back to college, and my dad was in the driveway, like, I think he was doing like a water pressure thing on the driveway. I don't really know. But I said to my dad, I was like, Dad, so-and-so really messed up my heart. He didn't so much break my heart because I hadn't given it to him, but I was so sad and just discouraged. And I stood there in the driveway and I cried on my dad's shoulder at 21 or 22 years old. And I just cried, and my dad just held me in his arms. And that was one of the best things that I could do, because if I had walked around pretending like it didn't bother me and pretending like, well, I'm a Christian, I have joy. Like, yeah, I'm a Christian, but I don't always feel joy. And sometimes we have to embrace pain. A lot of times people don't want to, especially as Christians, don't want to talk about pain and don't want to talk about heartbreak and don't want to talk about things that are difficult. But there's this one guy in the Bible that definitely talked about how something was really hard. I'm trying to remember his name. Oh, Jesus. And when he was on the cross, there were multiple things that he said that let people know how difficult that was for him and how much pain he was in when he was up there. So find a friend, a counselor, a parent, a mentor, a pastor, someone that you could talk to about how difficult it is. That's the first one. The first thing I would say when you're talking about trying to get over something that is difficult in life. The second thing that I would say is to be intentional about how you are disconnecting yourself from that person, right? If you just broke up with someone, or if you're not with someone and you're still following them on social media, maybe rethink that choice. And if it's like, I totally get being in situations where like they might be a friend of a friend or something like that, and you don't want to unfollow them or whatever, there's a way that you can silence them on social media. So where you're still following them, but you're not following them. If they are saved in your phone, I talk about this a lot on my YouTube channel. If they are saved in your phone as like Billy with like a little emoji next to it, but his name is William, save his name in your phone as William Jones, not Billy emoji, because that stuff, that's a big deal. You might act like it's not a big deal, but when he shows up in your Snapchat or your texting and it's all this like cute little stuff and everything, no, take Billy's name, make it William Jones. Like, put his government name needs to be the name that he is saved in your contacts, because you are allowing yourself to be emotionally attached to William Jones as if he's still Billy Smiley Face, when you know good and well he ain't no Billy Smiley Face to you no more. Get it straight. I was about to say get over it, and then it felt way too unfair because this is challenging. But yeah, bro, like, stop looking at their social media, disconnect from that way. If you another thing is, don't allow yourself to be one-on-one with that person. If he, like, I've seen people do this whole thing where they're like, we broke up, but we're still really good friends. You know what? Let me tell you this. If that is what God has specifically called you to do, then do it. But if that is not what the Holy Spirit has called you to do, stop trying to be friends with the people you broke up with. Stop trying to be close friends with the people that you broke up with. Stop trying to be close friends with the people that you thought you were going to marry and now you were not going to marry. Cut it out. It's weird. It's creepy. It's inappropriate, with the exception of if that's what the Holy Spirit has told you to do. So don't get up in my DMs and comments and mentions talking about, but the Lord said, well, go talk to him. But you watching Jamie Grace's Instagram Live right now, so you're going to get what Jamie Grace has to say. Unless the Lord has told you to do that. You need to put a boundary with that person if you're trying to get over them. The last thing that I will say, last but not least, thing that I will say is time. Time will healed those things. And I know it's hard, and I know it's difficult, and I know it can feel like it's taking too long, but it's pain. We don't have a gauge of how long pain is going to last. We don't have a gauge of how long difficulty is going to exist and be present. Give yourself some time. But you have to be doing all that other stuff before. Because if you are still going through his social media every other day and you're trying to figure out why you're not over him, you're doing that to yourself. You are the reason you haven't gotten over him. If you are still talking about him all the time, dreaming about him all the time, you're the reason you're not getting over him. So yes, give yourself time, but be intentional with that time. Someone said, I'm really curious how you define ghosting. Man, ghosting is weird. I've got ghosted so many times before ghosting was like actually a word. I mean, my presumption is when they act like a ghost, but none of us have really seen a ghost, but the Holy Ghost, hey! None of us are, well, some of y'all might be like, I saw a ghost. Okay, start a live stream about that. We're not talking about that right now. My presumption that ghosting is not like a 100% here is the answer. You know what I mean? Because it's like when someone just stops texting you or stops answering the phone or doesn't show up for a date. So it's a vague definition. Excuse me, but that stinks too. I mean, again, I'm open about this. My husband knows this, obviously. I like to give that disclaimer so it's not weird coming out of a married person's mouth. But I used to, use dating apps here and there because I thought they were super cool. I love technology and I love humans. And so I was like, this is fine. I'm swipity swipe. And I would get ghosted because guys would just use, I love the person that says, we have not seen the Holy Ghost. Okay, so I use this thing called comedy. I'm the funniest person in the world. So, okay, so, yeah, so with the whole online dating thing, because of Jamie Grace, people would sometimes just message me on there or match with me just to say that they matched with Jamie Grace. And then they would ghost me when they found out it was actually me. Or they would be like, well, can you make a video for my little sister? And I'm like, I was trying to date you. Well, okay. So it just got super weird. So I got ghosted a lot. I get it. It's super awkward. It's super weird. Okay, guys, we only have 3 minutes left. So y'all are so nice. I really don't try to be funny. I'm just a goofball. I'm just cray. I'm not actually cray. I love how you throw shade. I'm not so much trying to I saw someone said, are you dating now? I'm like, yeah, I'm super married. I date my husband all the time. I'll be kissing his face. Yeah, I'm not so much trying to throw shade as it is. I think it's interesting because if I was doing this, there's 238 people here right now. So if I was doing this as a live event and there were 200 to 300 people in the room and the microphone was being passed around to ask questions, a lot of the comments people make, they would not be saying them into the microphone. So I like to respond in an honest way because I think a lot of times people forget that I'm human. And so it's like, oh, it's just Jamie Grace. It's just a live chat. And I'd be like, well, that was dumb. Well, why are you here? Why am I watching your live stream? Why don't you wear natural hair every day? That's fine. Okay. You say what you think. I say what I feel. Do I feel the pressure to look put together when I was single? Or did I feel the pressure to look put together when I was single? Hair done, nails done, exactly. Let me try to answer this quick because I know I'm about to run out of time. I did feel that pressure, but you cannot allow that pressure to define you. You cannot allow that pressure to be the reason why you do your hair or do your nails or whatnot. Do those things because you love them, and do those things because they're a part of who you are, and do those things because you want to have fun with makeup. You want to express yourself with colorful hair. You want to express yourself with your nails, getting your nails done and stuff like that. Make sure that the intention is right. you should, when you step out of the shower and you are all the kinds of naked, and your hair is, just whatsoever, however it looks when you hop out of the shower, and you just like look however, you should feel absolutely beautiful. You should feel absolutely confident. You should feel like, look at me, I am a single queen, I am a single king, whatever, whoever you are. You should feel so confident and beautiful and wonderful just as you look, knowing that you are beautiful and that God created you to be beautiful, right? But understand that not everyone has access to that natural aspect of who you are. Because a lot of people would say, well, when you're dating, someone should love you for you. So why would you wear makeup? Well, why would you do your hair? Well, why would you put on clothes? I mean, I didn't, when I went on dates, I didn't show up naked. So there's nothing wrong with putting on a nice outfit because it adds to how beautiful you feel. There's nothing wrong with adding a little bit of extension to your hair, or, doing some fun little nails or doing some makeup, because it adds to the beautiful that you already feel. If you're putting those things on, if you're doing those things because you don't feel beautiful and because you want to feel beautiful, thank you, Isabella, for commenting in my live stream. You're too young to be watching this. Go watch Doc McStuffins. If you're doing those things, thank you, baby. If you're doing those things because you want to feel beautiful, because you don't feel beautiful, because you don't feel like you are created by the King of Kings, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And this might not be a good time to start dating if you don't like the way that you look. Because the first guy that tells you, I think you're beautiful, I think you're cute, you might be like, oh, it's time to get it on. Because somebody told you that you're cute. No, you need to work on feeling that because of who you are, just by yourself, created as a child of God. You need to work on when you get out of the shower or before you get in the shower, when you still smell. You need to work on loving who you are and loving what you look like. Someone said, I just got extensions and I feel like people will judge you. They probably will. People are going to judge you. People are going to judge me. People are going to have their judgments and opinions, which is why I'm saying it's not about what other people think about us. It's about knowing what God says about us. People make all kinds of comments all the time because of I'm not the weight that I weighed before I had a child. People make comments all the time of like, oh, is that your hair, or is that a weave, or is that people can make judgmental comments, judgmental assessments. They can ask you very judgmental things. There are many things that people will say, that people will do, whether in person, whether online, whether at school, whether at church. They might make comments and judgments that you can't even hear because they're just thinking it in the grocery store when you walked by and you didn't even notice they were looking at you with a judgmental face. People are going to have opinions. You got to learn to love you. At your worst, at your best, you've got to learn to love who God made you to be. The most natural person of who you are. Someone said, tell them to shut up. Sometimes you can tell people to be quiet, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can tell people you're wrong, or you can correct them. Sometimes you can't. What matters is loving who God made you to be. Feeling confident in who God made you to be, embracing who God made you to be, and sort of wrap all that up in the question that the young lady asked, did I feel the pressure to have my hair done and my nails done when I was dating, blah, blah, blah. Nails, no, because I play guitar, so my nails are rarely ever done. And I love the way my nails look. Some people will be like, you're not a lady because your nails don't look a certain way. I love that I have the most basic, simple nails. That's just who I am. It's a part of who I am. I love that I wear hair extensions sometimes. I don't have them in now. I feel like that's pretty obvious. But I love that I wear lavender hair extensions sometimes. It doesn't define me, but it adds to the beauty that I already feel when I am just at home, just me in my natural state, whatevs. Not everybody is going to get access to who you are completely naked, and I mean that physically, and I mean that spiritually, and I mean that emotionally. You don't have to show up on a first date with no makeup on to prove that you love yourself. You don't have to show up on a date with no extensions, with, sweatpants on to prove anything. Just be who God created you to be and love that person. And whatever clothes or makeup or hair, within reason that you want to add, to add to the beauty that you already feel, then awesome. Super cool. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a beautiful thing. I'm gonna head out, but I do want to shout out a few comments that I loved. Please forgive me because I don't remember the usernames, but someone said, "Where's Aaron?" And then someone else said, "In the house, caring for the baby." I'm not sure who you were, but I loved that. It's really funny to me when Aaron and I, like when I do a live stream or something, people are always like, "Where's Aaron? Where's the baby?" I'm like, as fun as this is for me, I'm technically at work right now. So it just always cracks me up when people are like, "Where's Aaron?" I'm like, "I didn't show up at your 9 to 5 sandwich, man." It's funny to me. I love when Aaron joins these live streams, and I'm sure he'll join some in the future. But Bella, like I said, is on the turn up. She is having so much fun right now watching Dr. McStuffins with her dad. So there we go. Artiste Bianca, she said, "It's me." That was so funny. All right, guys, this was so much fun. Thank you guys so much for joining me. We'll be back next Saturday at 5 o'clock Pacific time. Am I a full-time artist? Yes, that's what I do full-time. And I get to talk about the things that are the reasons why I make music, which are worth, value, love, life, dating, relationships, tacos, and pizzas. So thank you guys for joining. We'll be back next Saturday, but of course I'll be around all weekend and next week. Thank you to everybody that stayed here from the beginning. Bridget Bell, I've been seeing your comments the whole time that I was live, so thank you so much. D Swan, thanks for joining, bro. It's good to see your face and your name pop up. Purple Dusting, I don't know who you are, but I think that's a cool username. Queen Lori07, thank you so much for joining. I saw you joining the whole time. Alexandria Jones 14, thanks for joining. I'm going to try to put this on YouTube if I can. Thank you guys so much. It is mom life time now. Last thing someone said, can I DM you and ask you for advice on singing? Go to jamiegrace.com/learn. I've got a ton of free resources and a bunch of other stuff that will help you if you desire to be a singer or songwriter, anything like that. jamiegrace.com/learn. Thank you guys so much for joining. I'll talk to you later. Bye.